Hi, I'm Danny Duchamp, welcome to my shitty Honda Fit. So I've been asked by a patron to talk about quite a strange concept, inherited guilt. It's the idea that because your ancestors did something bad, you should feel guilty about it, and probably pay for it. I'm sure you've come across it in one context or another. It's the driving belief that inspires most slave reparations advocates. Many affirmative action proponents, even a lot of people who promote mass immigration into the West from third world countries, defend it as some kind of payback for colonialism. Inherited guilt is cited by really anyone who's trying to justify discrimination against white people. Even with that phrase, discrimination against white people, a whole bunch of people just tuned out, or possibly even started laughing. A silly drunken Honda man. Don't you know that people who wore the same skin color as you once kept slaves and conquered nations? Therefore, nothing anyone ever does to you is discrimination. Now, I for one think that the idea of inherited guilt is ridiculous. You get credit or blame for what you do as a person, nobody else, no matter how related they may be. Because I know this might sound as a shock to many of you, but you're actually an individual. I know, right? But yeah, look out through your eyes. Do you see a weird juxtaposition of the visual data from everyone of whatever demographic you happen to be talking about? No? Or do you see just the experience of an individual hairless ape? It's the individual thing, isn't it? Well, fuck me. I guess we should treat you like one. The other thing about inherited guilt is that, at least nowadays, it's only used as a way to make white Westerners feel guilty. It's never used on any other race or any other culture. But let's try, shall we? Some people think that Europeans have a duty to accept huge numbers of migrants and refugees from Islamic countries in the Middle East and North Africa because past Europeans forcibly colonized those countries. Well, forgetting about the whole humans are individuals thing for a moment, let's run with that logic. The Barbary slave trade involved Islamic countries in the Middle East and North Africa forming groups of pirates to raid European towns and ships and take slaves. If Europe owes these Islamic countries for colonization, then they owe Europe for the Barbary slave trade. I expect to see this guy here campaigning to get Libya to pay Iceland reparations any day now. That's ridiculous, you say. Slave reparations are something that only makes sense in places like America, where the black population is still feeling the effects of slavery today. Well, if it's the lingering effects that matter, let's take a look at them, shall we? In a classic display of the market favouring cooperation over conflict that would make an ANCAP smile, the majority of African slaves in America were not kidnapped, but bought from other Africans who had already enslaved them. In other words, the black people currently in America would have been the descendants of slaves anyway. The only difference is they would have been in Africa. Sounds to me like the American slave trade improved the positions of those people. If anything, black people owe reparations to everyone else in America. Does that sound silly and frankly racist? Well, it's no more so than the idea that the descendants of white slavers owe anything for the sins of other people of their race. And that's not even the end of it with the slavery thing, because many African countries still have slaves. And it's only because of Western countries like America that the majority of the world doesn't. This has always bugged me. The US has so much collective guilt for slavery. And it doesn't just bug me because of the silly concept of collective guilt. Imagine if a whole bunch of people, right, we're always stabbing one another. Every day, all day, stabbing. And let's say one of them, we'll call him Sam, realizes this for the horrible practice that it is, and stops. And even convinces a couple of other people to stop. Then, imagine that everyone now expects Sam to feel all of the guilt for the entire practice of stabbing. Well, Sam didn't start the stabbing, and it's only because of him that anyone stopped it anywhere. The West didn't start slavery, and it's only because of the West that anyone stopped it anywhere. Same sort of thing, by the way, if we go back to colonialism. Sure, there were some murderous practices involved in Europeans going around the world and absorbing countries. But it's not like these places were peaceful utopias to begin with. Take the US, for example. That was not a nation of peacefully cooperating savages. I mean, it was a clusterfuck of warring tribes. The Western nations who took over were playing the same game, The only difference is they were much better at it. And let's not forget that all the countries that Western nations, and Britain in particular, founded, or at least influenced in this way, are now the most socially advanced societies in the world. Almost everything that makes the modern age the best time to live in can be credited almost entirely to those Western nations developing and exporting their intellectual progress by whatever means were deemed acceptable at the time. So, if we had to play this whole inherited guilt and credit game, everyone on Earth owes a massive debt of gratitude to the scary white Westerners. Oh, what's that? My talk of an individualist philosophy. My talk of how inherited guilt is a silly concept. That suddenly sounds a lot more appealing, doesn't it? Funny that. But yeah, fuck your inherited guilt and get it the hell out of my shitty Honda Fit.